This episode of Nurses Saving Nurses is brought to you by Pro Trainings. Pro Trainings offers online, blended, and in-person courses for CPR, first aid, and other required certifications that healthcare providers need. Individuals needing certification can train when and where it's best for them. Businesses who offer training to staff can have a single certification source and easily track their staff certifications without a spreadsheet. Go to protrainings.com to learn more. Welcome to the Nurses Saving Nurses podcast, where we discuss nursing innovation, entrepreneurship, and creative problem solving, addressing some of the issues that exist in our healthcare system. We're focused on solutions, not problems.
All right. Want to welcome everybody to the episode 3 of the Nurses Saving Nurses podcast. Very excited to have Kristina Emery, who I've been blessed to work with for a number of years at this point, with us today. Welcome to the show, Chris. Really thankful that you could make it today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excited to be here.
Can you start off by just telling us a little bit about your nursing career and where you started and where you're at today?
Absolutely. So 27 years now. So worked for a large health system, but spent a lot of my time in the emergency department. And so as I was able to have a great career in a variety of different roles, but most of my time I was a nurse manager for 10 of those years. I opened and closed several different units actually. And so that's where I've kind of gotten my business, nursing business lens. And so, but opened and closed the observation units and the admission units and moved lots of units, done a lot of renovations, done a lot of project work. So I've been on both sides of the bed, right? So, at the bedside in a variety of roles. I did oncology, resource center, kind of just grew into the charge nurse, supervisor, manager, and climbed that ladder. And now for the last 7 years, I've been able to be in a fantastic and unique role as a nurse. I call myself a clinical innovation specialist, really, but my official title is an advisor for our innovations and our ventures team at a big health system. So
awesome. So tell us a little bit more about that advisor role. How does it work? What's the day-to-day look like?
Absolutely. So we at a large health system have a unique department that supports innovation in a couple of different ways. And so, and for me as an advisor in the role, I have that clinical lens, supporting, others on the team that are in a more of a business and entrepreneurial role. And so I bring that clinical to the table. But we support innovation inside out, where we work with our, employees across our system, our health system, to bring innovation to life, right? And so a new idea for a new, widget, new product, new technology, you name it, could be software, they can come to us, any employee can come to us with that idea, and we kind of take it through the innovation process. And so, we make sure we're solving a great problem, right? It's a big problem to solve. There's definitely a need, for a solution. We kind of vet it through other mechanisms, does others agree that it's a big problem, and then we start to create it, right? And so through that process, that takes a lot of iterating and innovating. And so we can, prototype and get it to a certain, what we call a minimum viable product, right? And so, from there we can test and pivot if we need to. But then the goal is to commercialize actually. And so we want to support that person and their idea and get it out on the market. Because if it's a problem that we are having in our health system, then it's likely a problem that everybody's having, right? And so our goal is to get that commercial path. And so the biggest challenge with that is, regulatory, depending on what the product idea is, what type of solution it is. So getting it through the FDA and regulatory path is often a challenge.
Imagine.
And so, but, we're not looking to become, the next big, medical manufacturer. This, our health system isn't. And so the goal is get it to the right people. If that, ideator is what we call those innovators, if that ideator wants to take it and go, we want to wrap this, support around that person and tee them up for success. Otherwise, our goal is to get it to the right, what we call exit partner, so they can take it the rest of the way and bring it back into the system through our supply chain or purchasing, however that works. And so that's one way that we're, innovating, and I support, the innovation process. And so, and that's been fantastic, and we can help with, patenting, and filing intellectual property and sharing that intellectual property. And so, that's a big part of our role too, when it comes to inside out innovation. And now we've opened our doors a little bit more to outside in, where, we can bring in, those innovators that are disrupting healthcare and truly support them in solving the problems that they're out solving, right? And so we bring those in, we can test them and validate them for them, especially if they're early stage. That's what's exciting about, opening the doors and allowing innovation to come in. We can help test and validate, and we can even help co-create. And so a lot of my role now is co-developing actually early stage companies and their products, and helping them, kind of bring them to the surface and test. And it's helpful in a couple of different ways. One, we're getting a good solution, right? And we're able to, make it our own somewhat. But then it's also helping this company scale. And so, we're often, opening our doors and trying to do those, a couple a year at least. And so we've got a couple under our belt now, and we're starting to figure it out. So
that's awesome.
So yeah.
How many ideas does you and the team vet per year, do you think?
Yeah, so anywhere from, I'd say right around a couple hundred to a couple thousand. So we've had where we were really going out and looking for ideas, and we ran a lot of what we call innovation workshops and road shows. And when we're doing that outreach, we get a lot of ideas coming in. It's hard to manage all of them, to be honest with you, and not every idea, makes it all the way. And so, if we're trying to sort and vet through a whole lot of ideas and follow up on every single one, it just takes a long time to do that.
Sure.
So
when you look at that full gamut, you just kind of touched on it. What percentage of success have you seen? And is there any advice you give to those that have, burning spirit and a great idea?
So it's right around 98% of ideas, don't always make it, right? And that 2% do. And I think my advice for, innovators out there is to just keep trying and keep plugging away. And you say there's never a bad idea. And it's not that it's a bad idea. Quite often what we find is, there's already a solution that exists. And so, and sometimes it's not the right solution, you have to iterate it, right? And so, but just keep trying, keep coming, with those ideas, and you usually figure it out eventually, so never give up. And I think it's important to keep, innovating. Nurses are great at, innovating. We're MacGyvers, we're mixologists, I watched a nurse take apart an IV pole recently, and we were testing a prototype, and I'm like, we just got a set of tools and we whipped that thing apart and put it right back together. It was simple.
Nurses are jack of all trades,
exactly.
Right?
So yeah, nurses are great at coming up with ideas, actually.
Yeah.
And so it's really just making sure we're coming up with the right idea to solve the right problem.
Nice. What how many repeat entrepreneurs, you've seen someone submit an idea and maybe that one didn't work out, and so
those are my most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that keep coming, with the ideas. And so it's I love it, keep coming, because one of these is gonna go, right? And so and those are the ones that I've actually seen.
And this is what your team helps with too, right?
Absolutely.
They might not be exactly where they need to be, but you're gonna coach and mentor them or help them through the
absolutely
innovative process.
and connect them to the right, even outside players, right? And so we've worked closely with area universities on prototyping and computer science, classes that have been able to help us build technology. We've got, a lot of local support, funding, angel funding, and other innovation groups that are in the area that can, support these entrepreneurs. And so we can make those connections too.
Anything right out of the gate that sets certain ideas apart from ones that may have promise to those that you might know right out of the gate, there's either another solution for this, or this one's not gonna work because of X, Y, or Z?
The quantity is one, okay? So if the quantity of the problem is happening just like an outrageous amount of times, right? That's usually a good sign. And then, the business case. And so if you have to be able to put that business case together for the problem that you're solving, because, and really we have a unique scorecard that we utilize that helps us, kind of drive that, that process, where are we weak with this idea? Where do we need to strengthen? Is it that the quantity of the problem is just really low, but it costs a lot of money? And so does it rise to the occasion? Another challenging one are pediatrics, right? Because that's a tough one to innovate around with because of again the size of the problem, right? So pediatric ideas have been, and they're typically high cost is one of those. So those are challenging, but they also there's a ton of grant funding and mechanisms to fund some of those ideas that we've been able to put together and they've been fantastic. So
any and I'm not sure if you can or not, but any huge wins that have come from your last 7 years of experience that you've seen either go to market or take off?
Yeah, we've got a couple that are doing really well. And so, we've built a lateral transfer device. So I'll put a plug in for the patient company and, that came out of our area and they're doing really well. We're actually kicking off research at our, health system with them right now. And so it's exciting. There's devices, that are being used within our system right now. At one of our regional locations that has never done nursing research. So we're actually checking a whole bunch of boxes, with that innovative, device. And then we have another one that's actually really starting to take off that we created. I just had a meeting with them a week ago. We co-created a urinary collection device for women. And so the reduction of CAUTIs and so that was the goal, is to, get catheters out of patients early. And we created a device that's really close actually. So, getting out to the market. So I'd say within a year.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. When someone first comes up with an idea and they wanna meet with Chris and the team, do I need a business plan? Do I just need a few sentences on a napkin that hit me at 2:00 in the morning at Denny's?
Yep, exactly. Yep. So typically that's how we're getting them, is I get like a nurse or a doctor that's, picking up the phone and just, I've got this idea, I don't know really where to go with it. And oftentimes it starts with, just a conversation. And then from there, we kind of help, tee it up into a little bit more of a formal, let's document it, let's draw the picture, so we can officially score it and, where its strengths, what do we need to iterate on? What do we need to build out further? Do we have enough data to support it? That's one of the big things. And now what's nice about, healthcare and data is we've got tons of data everywhere now. So it's a lot easier to, get those quantities of the problem you're solving or put the dollar amount, right, to that solution on top of things. So you can do it a lot faster. So.
And data will tell the whole story typically, right?
Yep.
All right, great. So for folks that are maybe not internal to the health system, these external players that you said you guys have been working with, tell us more about how do they get connected? How do they reach out to you or the team, and or maybe even internals? Yeah,
so I also support our ventures investment portfolio. So we are limited partners in a number of different venture groups. And so we are seeing startup companies all over actually. And quite often that's one of our first entry points coming in to the health system, is through some of these companies that they reach out to us. So we may be an investor, we may not be, but either way, they see that title and, with commercial innovations and ventures. And so they're reaching out. So I can see a half dozen a day actually coming at us. And so the space is crowded right now too with healthcare tech. And so there's just a lot of fabulous, ideas out there. So, yeah.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit more about how people connect directly with you and the team?
Yeah, so, internally there's, We've got, all of our, internal websites and, way of getting a hold of us. Primarily that's pick up the phone and reach out. And externally, they're looking us up on LinkedIn and, kind of, we have an external website as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, I had a blast talking to you, and I'm so thankful for you joining us for the podcast. This is episode 3 of Nurses Saving Nurses. Please give us a like, a follow, follow us on LinkedIn, and we hope to see you at our next Nurses Saving Nurses event coming up here in the next quarter. All right, thanks.
Thank you for listening to Nurses Saving Nurses. Follow us to hear more exciting content and innovation occurring in the nursing world.